Well, hello again. This is COMM 101 84N, and I'm going to give you some quick reviews on your practice videos and your self-introduction speeches. A fair number of you still have not turned in fantasy names, so you're not going to know who you are if I talk about a fantasy name or I don't give fantasy names. You should know, but if I don't give a name, I just say I have a video here and I'll give a name. It's because I don't have a fantasy name for you. So let's take a look at the practice videos. First, Dutch. You're shooting up and in. The camera shot's got to be straight in at all times. Straight in. See this shot right here? This is the only shot I ever want to see in any of your videos. An inch or two above your head, bust line. The only shot. Keep this shot. If you have a visual you're showing, send me a copy of it. If you have a PowerPoint you're showing, send me a copy of it. Do not zoom in or out, tilt up or down, or do anything. This is the shot I want to see. Now, a couple of problems that a lot of people have. This is not just entirely for Dutch. The microphone is on the camera. So if you set your camera way back there and zoom to this shot, you got the shot, but the microphone's way back there, so I'm not going to hear you very well. Move the entire camera in so we can see you. Shoot straight in. The lens of the camera's got to be on the same plane as the camera. The lens of the camera is to be on the same plane as the eyes of the person you're talking to or talking to you. All right, you need to get the camera closer to take care of the audio. This is still for Dutch. Watch the tisk. A lot of women especially make this sound with their mouth, and men do it too. So no one's exempt from this. So watch that sound. Sniffles. If you have sniffles and you're doing this a lot, then either excuse yourself or say something about it, but don't do it and not acknowledge that you've got a little bit of a problem. If you had a class with me, you would see that I would explain there are technically only 3 ways you can stand when you do a speech. One is with your hands folded in front of you. The other one was your hands folded behind you. Another one is with your hands folded like this. So those are the 3. I refer to them as the crotch hold, the butt hold, and the I don't give a damn. All right, this is the I don't give a damn. Your hands down in front of you are the crotch hold, and the hands behind you are the butt hold. There is a 4th one that's fairly new, and that's the diva. That's where you put your hands like this and talk. You know what? Dutch, you did the diva. All right, so you want to be really, really careful of that. Just get comfortable. Let your hands fall to your side. Put them on the podium. Hey, there's a concept. We'll talk about that in a second. Put them on the podium, etc., etc. Vocalize pauses. Duh, well. Those are vocalized pauses. When you make the any of those sounds that have no words connected to them are vocalized pauses. Get rid of them. You had good lighting. Way to go. That's always important. Get your notes on a podium in front of you. Class says you need a podium. All right? Now, I'm not expecting anyone to go out and buy a podium. Get a cardboard box. Put it on top of a table. Put your notes on that. Get them up where you can see them. It's got to be high enough that you can look down and see your notes. I don't want you waving around a piece of paper while you're talking. Okay, next up is Albin. A-L-L-B-I-N. Let the camera run. This is important. Everybody, let the camera run for a few seconds before you start anything. Because sometimes the camera turns on, but it takes a while for the audio and the video and everything else to catch up. Turn it on, let it run 5 or 6 seconds, 10 maybe, and then start. You see me do that. I'm looking down at a stopwatch to make sure it's going, and after I see that it's going there, I look up at you and I start. All right. You need to let it settle down before you start. Get more light on you. You're kind of dark. You need to get the light coming in on you. Use a tripod. Your camera's going all around like this. Use a tripod. You have a distracting background. So take a look. Try to find a plain wall someplace. If you can't find a plain wall someplace, tape a sheet or something to the wall so that it gives you just a plain background. What else do we have here? Ventilating noise. This is a real problem in most homes. your ventilator comes on, your heat, your air conditioning, whatever, and it causes more noise than you can imagine, and especially if your camera is right under one of the ventilating hoods. So be careful about where you have your camera, and if possible, turn off the ventilation, the air conditioning, the heat, until you finish your speech. Then turn it back on. You're ready to go. If you're going to have to do it again, then turn it back on. And also baby sounds. You want to be careful. We either get baby sounds, and that's distracting, or sometimes kids are in the other room, and we hear the TV they're looking at in the other room. You got to be real careful of that. Another one that's kind of interesting, none of this has anything to do with you, Alban, but dogs walking on wooden floors with bad toenails. You hear the click, 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 click as they walk. All right, next up is shadow. You appear to be sitting. You obviously have not read the syllabus. You cannot sit in this class unless you have an ADA reason, and I have a copy of what that reason is. You must stand for all of this. Energy, energy, energy. Everybody, energy. Don't stand there and do one of these things where you're going to be giving a speech, and I'm going to give you in the next line that I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to give you the line after that that I want to talk to you about. Energy, energy, energy. All right. You were very quiet. That's another problem. So energy and being quiet. Check the reflection in your glasses. There's some bright light out there, and it's reflecting in your glasses, and in some cases, it's blocking your eyes. I am watching for eye contact constantly. What else? Vocalize pauses. And ooh, those kinds of things. I'm not being literal here, but watch the vocalized pauses. Fix the composition. This bust to an inch or two above your head. It's the only shot I ever want to see. You need to fix that. Next up is cricket. You walk into a dark shot. That's what it was. You started and then you walked into the shot. You need more light. Get more light on you. And you appear to, after you come in, to either sit a little bit or squat. I have no idea what's going on there, or it's a low stool. No, stand, always stand, unless you have an ADA reason. You're shooting up and in. Nope, don't do that. You need to get more energy. You need to tell me. You need to sell me, all right? And you're very quiet. Don't be shy. Don't be quiet. Ventilation noises in your video also, and decent background. So way to go. Again, I want to go over some of the things you need to be aware of. This is on page 10, starts on page 10 of your syllabus. Dress professionally. Don't just come in like you just came in from working on the car or something. Dress professionally. It doesn't mean you have to wear a coat and tie. Doesn't mean you have to wear a gown or a tuxedo. But dress professionally. No sweatshirts, hoodies, baseball caps, etc. Females, if you got the hair that hangs down over your eyes and it tends to get in front of your face, do you realize that a lot of you kind of flip it up like that? And you keep doing that? It makes you look spastic because you keep getting the hair in front of your eyes, and you do that. First of all, use a bobby pin or a lot of hairspray or tape it down or do something. But the other thing is reach up casually. I will tell you in your speeches, don't touch yourself while you're speaking. People do this and people do this. Don't do that. But, don't let the hair get down. Do something about your hair. Dress professionally. That's a really important thing. If you dress like you don't think the speech is important, your audience, especially me, may not think the message is important either. Now, number 1 point. I know we preach eye contact, and eye contact is important if you have an audience in a classroom. But in this case, I am the only person, even though you got an audience in the room, talk just to me so I can constantly be seeing where you're looking, what you're looking at, and you need to look at the camera. Now, what you want to do is don't look at the camera like it's a piece of hardware. Look at the camera and see this old gray-haired fat guy sitting here, and that's who you're talking to. That's why I do these videos. Talk to me. Don't worry about the camera, piece of hardware. Talk to me. I'm the guy. When you look through the lens, that's where I am. So talk to me when you talk. Practice your speech, practice your speech, practice your speech. Under no condition or circumstance should you ever memorize your speech. If I see you without any notes in your hand or not, playing with outlines, then I'm going to suspect that you tried to memorize the speech. You must use a podium or a lectern. If you don't have one, make one. Unless I give you permission otherwise, and I'm not likely to do that. Get a cardboard box. Don't go out and buy anything. Get a cardboard box, put a piece of cloth over it, a sheet, that works, towel, put a piece of cloth over it and use that. You always must stand during your speeches, never sit while delivering a speech unless you have an ADA. I'm reading stuff that's in the syllabus, and you've already heard me say that some of you violated that. Be aware of your volume. I and your audience must be able to hear you clearly throughout your speech. All right? Remember, the microphone is on the camera. Speak to me. In the face-to-face class, you would be scanning and talking to the audience. This is an online class. I can only tell when you speak to me. So, do not read your speech ever, unless directed otherwise, and I don't usually do that. So you're going to actually be looking down, etc., etc. It says in the directions for the speech, for the most part, you need a preparation outline and a speaking outline for each speech. Some of you didn't send either. Some of you only sent one for this speech. What else? Be as natural as possible. Talk to me. Don't talk at me. Don't, well, I'm going to talk today about something, and you are going to, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Talk to me. Tell me a story. Talk to me like you're talking to a friend. No gum, no hats, no hoodies, no hair in the face. Remember the hair in the face? Don't do any of that. Now let's flip the page here. Once you're ready to begin your speech, get the first few seconds in your mind. All right, so look down. Get the first seconds in your mind, and it also gives your camera a chance to settle down. Look up, look right at the camera, wait a second or two, and say, today I want to speak to you about what I am going to refer to as my self-introduction. And then you go on for that. You have to look down for the next thing, fine. But don't start with, today I'm going to speak to you about the self-introduction. No, don't do that. Be looking at me when you start. After you conclude your speech, make sure your audience knows that your speech is finished. That's where people always say, or usually say, some variation of, and finally, or to sum it all up, etc. Don't say thank you at the end of the speech. That's a kind of an amateur way of telling them it's over with. Your speech should let them know it's over. So don't say thank you. All right, what else do we have to have? After you finish your speech in the class, go around, get the autographs, etc., etc. Do not introduce your audience after the speech is over. Now, here is something that is crucial. And I fully realize that we had to do this first speech in order to give some of this back to you and give you some rules, even though there's some of them are printed out here, but I'm going to give you a few more. Number one, for the audience introduction. Some of you are doing what's called a swish pan. A swish pan is when you go like that, and I can't even count you're moving the camera so fast. Some of you did a shot from the back of the heads of the audience. Number one, it's kind of hard for, and you swish panned on that, or you did a slow one. I can't tell if that's a person or a mannequin. You've got to take the picture from the front. And here's how you do that. Set your camera up. Every person in your audience comes past the camera, looks at the camera, and says, my name is, and my age is, or my name is, and I am this old. Now, if you got somebody that's sensitive about giving their age, they only need to say, and I'm over 16, or I'm over 21. But they must be 16 or over, okay? It's important. Walk into the shot, look at the camera, give their name and their age. Catch 22 on this one. All of that does not count as the length of your speech. Some of you came up short on the length of your speech because the audience introduction kind of thing, in some cases, took 20 minutes or so. Don't do that. You turn on the camera, make sure it settles down. Don't have the first person standing there and just start immediately. Let the camera run for 10 seconds. The person stands there and says, I'm Keith Klein, and I'm 140 years old. And they move, and the next person walks in. They say their name and their age, and they walk by. Two things are happening. One, I'm verifying their age. Two, I'm making sure that they are, in fact, a part of the audience, etc. Your camera person, the camera's locked. once they get that shot, they're not supposed to be moving the camera. Now, if you got somebody that's really tall, they may have to lean down a little bit to look in the camera, because when they come in, if they're really tall, you're going to get one of these things. I need to see their face. All right. So make sure that you do that. All of them come in. Let them get their seats. There's going to be some room noise of them walking around, moving chairs. Let them get their seats. And then you walk into the picture, get what you're going to say, look up, and then start your speech. Okay? We talked about that. Make sure you hit the due dates on all of the speeches. If you're not ready or you don't turn in a speech by the deadline, it's tantamount to failing that speech. Remember, all speeches must be given. Remember, do not, I've said this, do not post any materials that are intended for me and this class anywhere in Blackboard. Some of you put your speech notes in Blackboard, in Connect. No. Send them to me as an email message. You can put all of your notes, your visuals, your PowerPoints, send them in one email message, but send them in an email message. I am collecting all of that. I'm not going to open anything that's within Connect. Only thing I'm going to look at is your speech. Send them to me from your Ivy Tech email address to my Ivy Tech email address. Okay, I've gone long, so I'm going to stop this, and then we're going to pick up a second version of this with your actual kind of speech critiques of your self-introduction speech. Remember all of this, review all of this, and remember, when you send me the note, you got to tell me you not only watched this video on the tips for speaking, but also on the kind of the practice video, and you're going to watch the critique of the self-introduction video. All right, we'll be back with you in another video in just a moment.